All right, so we are on. So, the second day of the World Hockey Championships just finished, and that was, depending on what game you watched, was a good day or a bad day. I know if you're watching the Sweden versus Germany game, that was not a great game. And if you're watching Norway versus France, that's a totally different story. That game started off horrible, so slow in the morning, in the beginning. The shots were 7-6 for France. And wow, holy crap, that improved though. We ended up seeing a 3-2 game for Norway, and that just concluded about maybe 5 minutes ago. So we're already doing this pretty quick. But overall, I thought that was a fun day of hockey. There were 6 games. Now, were you up for the very first 2 games of the day?
Yeah, yeah. I was up for the two early games, and then I was back to sleep for the 2 games in the afternoon. So I didn't catch the Czech game or the Slovakian game until the end. But I did catch the Latvia Denmark in the morning, and what was the other one? I don't remember.
There was Switzerland, Slovenia.
Switzerland, Slovenia. Yeah, so I caught those.
Yeah, that was one heck of a game from sounds of it. Okay, so how'd that game go?
Switzerland, Slovenia was. I mean, I gotta admit, I was mainly focusing on Latvia, Denmark. Those are like two of my more like enjoyable teams to watch in terms of like the bottom feeding teams. Although it's hard to call either of them that now. That was a really good game. Latvia Denmark was a good game. It was pretty even most of the time. Denmark came out in the first and was probably above the level of Latvia, but second and third period Latvia outshot them, outpossessed them, generally outplayed them, and it showed. And Denmark's chances went down. Obviously, they're missing a lot of key players. They're missing a guy like Frederick Anderson in net, who would have been, that would have been nice. Guys like Lars Eller and I believe Jannik Hansen is also Danish. There's some other options there that they don't have. And so they're leaning more on Ehlers for sure, but also on guys like Mikael Ogard, and that didn't work as well for them. And as well, a great game for Elvis Merzlikins.
No, exactly. Merzlikins, he's when he plays in these international tournaments or tournaments in general, he seems to do really well. We've seen him play like he's taken his team to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, and he also had incredible World Championships last year and great World Championships now. He is the best Latvian goalie. It's not Gudlevskis.
It's not? Okay.
No, it's definitely Gudlevskis. Yeah, it was a fantastic game for him, and he's definitely going to be the long-term option for Latvia because who's the guy who's been the starting goalie forever? He just retired.
I'm blanking on his name, but I know who you're talking about. I'm blanking on the name. But on Switzerland, Slovenia, that's a game I was watching less so. Oh, yeah, you got it?
Egers Masalskis.
Yeah, Masalskis, right, because he's just recently retired, right?
Yeah.
38 or 39 years old, I think.
Yeah.
But on Switzerland, Slovenia, Slovenia just looked awful in the first period. Like, I think if you look at the box score, that's easy enough to see. They got woefully outshot in the first period. They were down 4-0 at the end of it. They were down 2-0 in the first however many minutes. I think there was one point where Switzerland had 2 goals in 11 seconds or 12 seconds.
Yep.
They looked awful, but it's a team that I think we're going to have to start. If they're not giant killers, then they're certainly a team that can compete on the same level as some of these middle teams like a Switzerland or like a Slovakia and a Belarus, 2 teams they beat in Sochi. Yesterday, I think we were talking about teams we think are going to get relegated, and I still think would pick Slovenia. But there's an outside chance that they'll survive if they can play more like they played in the second and third period against Switzerland and less like they played in the first.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say definitely about if you want to go back to Latvia, I think they're a top 8 team. I think they're one of the best teams. I think they actually are working harder to be better than teams like the Czech Republic and Slovakia and everything. But for Slovenia in their game, the second half, that reminds me almost of the Olympics. Just imagine what that team would be like with Kopitar. I know we talked about that yesterday, but
right.
Overall, those are two, like the one game, or both games look to be very one-sided. And if you woke up early for those games specifically, that's tough. But wow, that was turned out to be a good day because, the Latvians were extremely excited about their goaltending effort. And they've got a decent defense. They do allow a bit of shots, but overall that was it seemed like they were all good with that. Let's talk about I guess you didn't see the second games, but
I saw the third periods of them, but you're the expert on these two.
Yeah, so the Czech Republic versus Belarus. After Belarus playing so well against the Finns yesterday, we're thinking, oh, this could be a pretty good game, and there was nothing good about that game. 6-1 end up be the final score. The shots were 12-1 for the Czechs after 15 minutes of play. That's a little concerning for Belarus. Belarus, I believe, only had 7 shots on net, and
Wow.
it was disappointing, I think, mostly to watch how Kevin Lalonde reacted, because Kevin Lalonde's been the guy who's been kind of trying to save this team for the last few years, international competition. Does a great job of it. The issue was his team just didn't help, and that's very obvious in the fact the shots were 45-7.
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly, from what I saw, there were certainly goals that maybe shouldn't have been goals, but every goalie is going to run into those times. And if you have a team that backs you up and doesn't allow 45 shots in 60 minutes, you're not going to run into as many problems with that. I think there's a little bit of blame to be put on everybody, but it's hard to put blame on a goalie who stops 39 of 45 against a superior team like the Czechs.
Exactly. And, I also have to think that when you look back at this game and look at the Philadelphia Flyer factor, and, the Philadelphia, I believe, has like 7 or 8 players in this tournament. They have an incredible amount of guys playing at the World Championships.
Yeah.
And
they're all punching each other.
Yeah, the guy who got the first goal, or the second goal of the game, but the first of the Flyers' goals was Radko Gudas, the guy who went out and punched his own teammate yesterday in Claude Giroux. Today, he takes a pass from Jacob Voracek at the point and just did a one-timer right off of, I want to say it was Alex Kulikov's stick, breaks his stick in half, and the puck goes through in the net. And it's like, wow, this guy can shoot, apparently, and he can also punch people. And imagine what happens when you aim for the net and not guys who you have to play with in a few months.
Not Claude Giroux's face.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to say on Belarus quickly. I didn't get to watch the game today, and you'll know better than I do. What are their other options in goalie? I'm looking at their roster, and it's Mikhail Karnikov, who's the HC Dynamo Minsk starter, I believe, and it's Vitaly Truss, who plays for Nieman Grodno in, I think, the Belarusian league. Are those viable options, or are they going to have to continue to lean on someone like Kevin Lalonde?
So the team brought 6 goalies to camp, and it was essentially Kevin Lalonde just dominated. The Canadian guy goes on and dominates all the guys from Belarus. Essentially, since I believe I think I'm drawing a blank with, but Belarus had a goalie that played for the team for a long time. I believe actually when they won in 2002 against Sweden, and essentially, this team is relying on their goalie, and I think that's the reason why they haven't been relegated the last few years, because you got Truss and you got Pronin and you got a couple other guys like Karnikov, who ended up coming in today.
I will correct quickly that Karnikov actually wasn't the backup he wasn't the starter. He was the backup for HC Dynamo Minsk because Kevin Lalonde was the starter.
Oh, well, there you go.
Know each other well. He's used to playing behind Lalonde, I figure.
Yeah, no kidding. But essentially, he came in today wearing number 69 of all things, and
nice.
he wasn't the only 69 on the team, which again, just fantastic. Andre Mezin, that's who I was talking about, was the guy who kind of just retired recently. He's 42 years old, so it's kind of why he's not playing international anymore. But he played at 3 different Olympics for Belarus, so 2002, 1998, and 2010. So
I've got a twist for you. I got a twist.
Okay.
I just checked HC Dynamo Minsk again. Actually, Lalonde and Karnikov both weren't the starter. It was Ben Scrivens.
What? Oh, right. Maybe that's why.
It's something I should have remembered. So what you have is your current goaltending situation for Belarus is Kevin Lalonde, who is the backup for HC Dynamo Minsk. Karnikov, who is like the second, he's like the Antoine Bibeau of HC Dynamo Minsk. And then you have Vitaly Truss, who plays in the Belarusian Extraliga, which is not a league. You can speak to European league levels better than I can, but the Belarusian league, not a league seen as a super high level.
So you can look at it this way: Ben Scrivens, if he plays 3 more years with the team, he actually will be able to qualify for. Yeah, so he's already played for Canada at the World Championships. I gotta wonder if maybe that's what's gonna happen, because when you go to a team like this, you're trying to play for the national team. Like that's just Dynamo Minsk isn't just going out there and saying we just want to win with all these import players. No, this is a team that literally brings in, like, out of all their players next year, there's only technically one guy who can't play for Belarus. I know. You know what? Never mind. Actually, every single player on the team. No, No, never mind. I definitely am wrong. Rob Klinkhammer and Matt Lisson can't play, but everybody else on the team as of right now can play for Belarus next year.
But you know what? The thing with Scrivens is, and I guess we'll move on to talk about the other games in a second. But the thing
he's not signed for next year, by the way.
Yeah, and that's my thing is I don't think he will go back. He played well enough in the KHL this year. 918 save percentage, I believe, which is like doesn't sound super impressive if you compare to like NHL guy. That's a solid starter in the KHL. I figure he'll either stay with them one more year and then see if he can pop back into get an NHL backup opportunity, which likely pays a lot better, rather than stay there. I also think Scrivens has family in North America, right? Jenny Scrivens is also a goaltender, I believe, who's still playing.
She retired.
Oh, did she retire?
She
Okay,
does,
I'm not as up to date on.
Yeah, she does PR now for the NWHL.
Okay, right. I'm not up to date. But I figure I don't think that's an option for them in 2 or 3 years from now. I don't know if Ben Scrivens will be available. What they will have to do is look at their goalie development there, because it's pretty clear that if the two best goalies, their seasons are over. It's May. Like the Belarusian league is still not playing. The KHL is done. Mm-hmm. It's not like the NHL. These European leagues finished months, if not a month, ago. If the best goalies they can bring are their second backup for their one KHL team and one of the like so-called better goalies in the Belarusian league, they need to look at development from that area rather than doing what a lot of teams have been doing, which is bringing in these domestic imports, whether they're forwards, defensemen, or goalies.
Exactly, 100%. That's kind of that's my concern with South Korea. And
yeah, absolutely.
I feel like the team hasn't developed themselves enough. And
goaltender,
Matt Dalton.
Right. Okay. I was figuring because I thought it was an import, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, Matt Dalton of Clinton, Ontario, 30 years old, right. And of course, play. He was a backup for the Boston Bruins in one game and never played. So that was his whole NHL career. Anyway, so there's that, and yeah, that Belarus game just wasn't great. Then there was Italy. And, Italy is, I wanted Italy to come in here and to say, we're going to kind of try to surprise everybody. And they did a good chance. Unfortunately, there was no, upsets, I guess. We can almost say, there was an upset earlier.
We were sitting there. We were sitting on 3 or 4 upsets today at different times between.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Between, I don't know how close you want to say Latvia, Denmark. Those are pretty evenly matched teams. You might give Denmark the upper hand a little bit, but I wouldn't call that an upset. But Slovenia almost beating Switzerland, losing in the shootout on a Damian Brunner goal, like a former NHLer goal. That's totally an almost upset. Obviously, Belarus doesn't stand a chance against the Czechs, as we saw. But Italy almost beating Slovakia. And then until about 20 minutes ago, until about 20, 30 minutes ago, that Germany-Sweden game was 2-1 Germany, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. At one point, Germany was looking like the better team.
Yeah, and they just fell apart in the third, which is something that, and I think we'll see it throughout the tournament. We've seen it in past tournaments, and it doesn't seem to be something that goes away. You get these teams that are not as good, but they keep up for 40 minutes. They lose all energy in those last 20 minutes, and I don't know if sometimes it's because they're relying too much on their top lines. Sometimes everyone just gets tired because the other team is so much better. But even if you look back at some games that people listening might recognize more closely, Canada, Latvia. A couple of years back, where Christos Guleskis almost pitches a shutout, and Canada, I think, wins 1-0 or 2-0 or something, right?
Yeah.
Latvia just runs out of gas in the last 10 minutes of that game. Fully runs out of gas.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you expect. That's why I kind of call the Belarus curse, because I've noticed in the last couple of years, every time Belarus was good, they'll lose in the last period, essentially. They're just running again. Right. If you want to talk about another team that almost kind of just shocked the world, by the way, 12,000 people went to go see Slovakia versus Italy. That was more than a lot of the World Cup and a lot of the World Junior games.
And that's really, considering it's not in Slovakia or Italy, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and this one is in Germany.
Was that in Cologne? Yeah, it was in Cologne or Paris.
Yeah, it was in Cologne. Yeah. So let's take a look at this. So Slovakia scores 6 minutes in. Okay, and they hold it until 35 minutes into the game when Italy scores. Then 2 minutes into the third, Italy scores again. Oh my gosh, Italy could win this game. And it looked like that until Slovakia scores with just 1 minute and 4 seconds left.
Right.
And wow, that was an extra attacker. They scored empty net, and they ended up scoring 2 minutes in overtime. By the way, that overtime was incredible. As we continue to say every time that there's an overtime in international hockey, that was a good game. I did not see it the full thing. I only saw the end, but overall, I thought that was a good game from what I keep hearing. And then the final two games for today, which were again, the France Norway game was good. Cristobal Huey gets injured. He gets cuts all over his face, bleeding everywhere. He has to change his jersey. I've not seen that in international competition. I've seen that happen in like in the NHL. They have backup jerseys, but they don't have a lot of backup jerseys in this. I one time went to a Ryerson Rams hockey game in the U Sports, and the goalie Taylor Dupuis, he's played for the Sarnia Sting. He got hurt, and he had to take his jersey off, and he had to go take a jersey from I think it was Charlie Graham, former Hamilton Bulldog. And it just looked funny because it's like, wait, I didn't see a goalie change, but I went to the bathroom. Did I miss anything? I waited until I found out at the very end. Yeah, no, he just borrowed a jersey. So we saw that here today with Roman Crewmanner having to give his jersey away to Huey. You would think they may have a backup jersey, and I guess you can't put a road or the other jersey on, like you can't put your home jersey on if you're wearing the white, especially if you're a goalie. Like, I don't know, but overall, it took it kind of just slowed the game's pace down. But then, France played pretty well, but Norway in the end, the top line scored all their goals. Patrick Thorson scored twice, and
Thorson and the two Olin brothers, isn't it?
Oh yeah, those guys were fantastic.
They looked like, and I think TSN did a segment on it. They look like the Sedins when they're out there. Like, they're obviously not on the same talent level, but they are one of those groups where sometimes you see it when it's brothers, and sometimes it's just people who have played together for so long, but they have total telepathic passing. They have plays that they do that the whole team doesn't even know about, their own team doesn't know about, but they see them going and they just kind of get in position. And these two brothers, they really, I love Patrick Thorson. I think he's a very talented player, but even next to those two brothers, he looked a little lost, a little slow. They really controlled the game out there for Norway. That's certain. I do want to say quickly, just going back to the middle games for a second. I've never seen a team dominate 3-on-3 overtime as dominant as Slovenia was, and specifically Jan Mursak. Jan Mursak probably went. There was a point at which Jan Mursak took the puck and went around Switzerland's net and out to the blue line and around their net and out to, maybe 2.5, 3 times before getting somebody open to get a good shot on net. It was impressive, and that's what I like seeing. I like seeing this end-to-end stuff from the 3-on-3, but I also, on the European ice, just love seeing these players have ample space to just dick around, do whatever they want, get open. It does separate the speedy players and the talented players from the rest. And Slovenia almost nearly won that game a couple times in regulation and a couple times in overtime before losing it in the shootout.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. That was Slovenia's playing Canada tomorrow, and I'm assuming a lot of people in Canada are not waking up for a 6:00 hockey game.
I probably will be, but that's me.
I will be, for sure. I will be covering that game. So wow, I'm crazy. I'm picking 3 games tomorrow, watching NASCAR, and taking photos of a men's league hockey game later at night. So featuring some Oakville Blaze players, if you guys know who they are. But then there's the last game, which was Sweden versus Germany. And Germany, man, that's a team that looked yeah, again, we were mentioning that earlier. It's they were so close to winning that one, and then Sweden comes out and just destroys them. And, I guess that's just what happens when you're that much better than your opponent.
You can't stop Snizbone. You can't. You can try to stop Snizbone. You can do whatever you want to try to stop Snizbone, but you can't stop Snizbone. The boy is freaking incredible, and even I think yesterday he was stuck on a line with 14 points in 82 games, Carl Soderberg. And today it looked like his line was 3 William Nylanders. He was incredible. The whole team was really, really good in the third there after having some troubles there. One player who did look a little bit off was Ekman Larsson. A couple bad giveaways at his own blue line, especially late in the second period when it was 2-1 Germany already, I believe. Although I could be wrong, it might have been early in the third. He looked a little off, so I'd be interested in seeing his stats and if he's going to bounce back from that. But that's a team that never should have put Nylander on the third line for their first game. And I'll say it right now. I think if they don't put him on the third line in game 1 against Russia, they have a better chance at winning that, and they might be 2-0 now.
I have to agree. Nylander is kind of like Philip Forsberg.
And I'm a Leafs fan, so that that's my bias.
He's kind of like Philip Forsberg in these international tournaments, and the fact that he's no matter what tournament he's playing in, Nylander's really good at. We're going to see Alex Nylander be really good at these tournaments eventually.
Yep.
Surprised he didn't take part in this one, but I guess maybe
hopefully not very good for the Sabres though. Hopefully he just moves to the Western Conference, goes and does really well for like the Sharks or something. Some team that the Leafs don't have to play more than twice a year.
Yeah, well, again,
come be a Leaf. Come join us, Alex. We love your brother. We want Snizbone Jr.
I'm curious how much that would even cost them, but this is not an NHL thing. But anyways, yeah, you know what? Tomorrow's games will be fun. I think with Canada playing Slovenia. The one thing I'll say is if Canada's not dominating after 40 minutes, people calm down. It's okay.
Breathe. Yeah, this is like we need to release like a yoga or like an ASMR video, like a sleep aid video or like a calming aid video for people who freak out if Canada's like only up by 1 after 40 minutes against a bad team. Because over and over, they might be up 1-0 on Slovenia after 35, 40 minutes. They will be up 6-0 by the end of the game. And that's nothing, not saying anything about Slovenia there. They're a great team. I love watching them. I stayed up until 4 a.m. during Sochi just to watch them kick Slovakia's ass because Slovakia is one of my least favorite teams, along with the Czechs. But the Americans. But just breathe, chill, just like do some like breathing exercises, because as much as I love teams like Slovenia, Latvia, Norway, Italy, etc., maybe next year South Korea, when they go up against teams like Canada, they tend to hold their own for 35, 40 minutes in some cases. It's that third period where
and people are really looking at this right now, and the one thing that people are talking about is, you know, so Slovenia does actually have a point, which could save them from relegation. Like that's the reality. Like that could have saved them from relegation. But people are also saying, you know, France, oh, no, they lost today. That means they're pretty much done. People keep saying, I've read 3 different people say, because France lost today, that they're pretty much like out of it.
I would disagree.
They have 6 more games to go. It's game 1. Here's the problem, though. They still have to play Canada. They still have to play Finland. They still have to play the Czechs.
You know what? I'm not gonna. I believe Finland played yesterday, right? And lost one. I don't remember.
They're playing tomorrow. Finland and France are playing tomorrow.
Finland did play yesterday.
Yes.
And did they win? I forget who they played. I forget.
They won. Yes, they beat.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. They don't look that good. Yeah. And we talked yesterday on this stream how they don't have the NHLers, like as many as they'd like. And they're actually just not that good in the World Championships pretty commonly. So if we're going to pick an upset that where the skill isn't there, where like Finland, yes, is definitely a more skilled team than France, but an upset where there's a chance of it happening just out of the blue, like a Slovenia over like almost beating Switzerland kind of thing, it could happen. It could happen. France could beat Finland.
It's a tough one. I feel like that'll be a close game. I'm predicting like a 3-2 game again.
Slovakia was another one where it's like I would not believe if this happened, but it almost did, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'll say Russia will probably beat Italy 7-1. I'm really confident on that one because what I've noticed is when Russia plays early morning games, they dominate no matter what tournament they play in.
Yeah, it's like baseball. You need the afternoon.
Yeah.
Start split games to check out how they're doing.
I think the Americans will bounce back and they will beat Denmark because as it stands, those 2 teams are the only 2 teams in Group A without a point.
I'm really disappointed in Denmark. I've only seen them play 1 game. They've only played the 1 game, but they really didn't look like Denmark that I remember.
And they didn't score, so that didn't help. They had to score in the tournament.
Merzolikins was good, but they're also just weren't getting as many chances as they should have. They got outshot like 20-7 in the last 2 periods by Latvia. Something along those lines. I could be wrong. Or 20-15, I forget.
Yeah. Another quick thing about France is I doubt Huey will play tomorrow. which could be a big thing. I think the reason they put him in today was because they thought, you know what, we can beat Norway, and they were close.
Mhm.
But I doubt they're going to go a few 2 days in a row
Yeah,
because Belarus did, but because Belarus doesn't have any other options.
I think
France,
the
their
game,
backup goalies are okay.
right. The games to watch tomorrow, if you're watching right now and you like international hockey, but you don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. for it, or you only want to wake up at 6 a.m. if it's going to be a game that's competitive, or you're like me where there's, I mean, I'm different. I love to watch a good blowout sometimes, but
If it's funny, if it's funny, if it's like
if it's a funny blowout, like if
it's
Russia's
tomorrow,
beating Belarus like 12-1, I love it. I eat it up. I feel bad for them, but it's not like the World Juniors where they're kids. Like these are adult men. They can handle themselves. They're adult people, right?
yeah.
But if you want games to watch tomorrow and you need to go, you're asking us what game should I watch tomorrow? Watch Latvia, Slovakia. Neither of them plays the most interesting hockey, but that's a game where you could see an upset. Absolutely, I think Latvia could beat Slovakia. I said it before the tournament started. I said I think Latvia can come out of their first 3 games against Denmark, Slovakia, and is Belarus the last one they play? Denmark, Slovakia, and Italy. I said they could come out of that with two or three wins. Like, and they're already 1 win in. They did beat Denmark. I think they could beat Slovakia.
Yep, and I'm the game that I think is going to be really interesting to watch tomorrow is Switzerland Norway, and that's again these are 2 teams that at least in Group B, Switzerland won and Norway won, and they're already fighting for a quarterfinal spot because Canada, Finland, I'm pretty sure they'll go in the quarterfinal spot.
The Czechs probably.
The Czechs, and then what about Norway, Switzerland, France, and Belarus?
Belarus, I think, is a team that I know earlier we said we definitely weren't counting France out yet. I think if we're going to call now, when people cover like a television show like Survivor, it's another one of my hobbies. You watch a couple episodes, you see who's playing well, who looks bad, and you start calling which players are drawing dead, which is players that can't win or players that aren't going to do well. If I had to pick, if I only got 1 pick, or really the only team right now who I can pretty much say I don't think is going to clinch a spot in the quarterfinals, I think it's Belarus. I think Belarus is drawing dead here.
Yep, I agree. And I have to agree with that one for sure. I think France has way more reason to move on. Switzerland, their team overall just pretty average. And then Norway looked actually quite good. They're a first-line team. Their goalie's good. Their defense is not as good as it has been. Anyways, I have to head out, but we will probably talk again tomorrow. And tomorrow will be a fun day of games because it's not a lot of big matchups, but it's a lot of important matchups. And that's what people need to look at. Because in this tournament, why would you wake up for a game between Canada versus Slovenia? Why would you wake up for Italy versus Russia? Because these games matter.
Yep.
All right. Cool. All righty. So I will see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. See you later.